struggling with a little bit, like for my entire life, is how not to be reactive or impulsive and to think clearly of what the way that I react to certain situations. I think that this semester taught me three things in terms of how to react to anger and violence. I think Aaron told me to think that these persons are probably not thinking clearly, right? They're not, they have a certain paralysis of thinking that make them fall into like finality of evil, which they can't realize the extent of their actions, right? I think that Santideva taught me that these people are probably not awakened and that they just don't have the proper eyes to see the situation as it actually is, and they can't realize the extent of their actions. Trying to understand where this violence comes from, where this anger comes from, is a great way to not be reactive in a violent manner. I think properly of how to deal with this kind of situation. Gandhi makes a lot of emphasis on that. You know, like don't use your brute force because it will only like reproduce violence. Just like passive resist this kind of situations, and you will make an impact in that person's mind. Okay, something that I think that's something that I think I've changed or I'm trying to change. Just being very a little bit more thoughtful of my actions, trying not to act just out of impulse, and try to understand where certain actions come from and deal with them in a proper manner.
I think that a struggle that has surfaced over the last 4 years, or a concern for me, has been how I view religion in my life. I grew up in a Presbyterian church, and I spent 14 years going to services and youth group and singing in the choir and that sort of thing. And this lasted until I moved partway through my high school career to North Carolina, which was 600 miles from where I had grown up. And at that point, my relationship with the church really fractured. That was in part because of resentment that I was dealing with and emotional stress, also feelings of detachment that I was going through. And so when my family moved to North Carolina, we didn't really get involved with the new church there. And so that started to bring the question to me of where does religion fit into my life? And if I spent so long investing myself in something, why is it so unimportant to me now? And over time, I sort of realized that maybe it was more the community in the church that I had always appreciated rather than religion itself, but that's still something that I've been wondering as I come here too. And so I found myself from week to week sort of falling in line with the religious beliefs of each philosopher that we would talk to, whether that was Descartes, justifying the existence of God in whatever way that he could while talking about knowledge, or Nietzsche basically writing off religion as a way for the weak to justify their own weakness. And this concerned me because each week I would say, well, this is logical, this makes sense. It indicated a lack of conviction of sorts to me if I was so easily influenced. I think that as I've continued to think about it, I've been able to accept the fact that I don't have any definite conclusions about what I think right now, because there's still time for me to continue questioning. Sort of what art talks about not accepting things as fact and continuing to question and continue to work on expanding your knowledge. I hope that with time I'll start to figure out where I see religion in my life, but that's definitely something that has resonated within a lot of the conversations that we've had in PPT this past semester and year.
In thinking about what how PPT has impacted me, I'd like to show you an object. So this over here is my A-level certificate. This is the last major exam that I took, and the A-levels is a very important exam, and this is one of the things that I believe has allowed me to enter into this college. So I think that over the past years of my education, it has really been inculcated into me the importance of grades and the importance of working hard to achieve grades. It seems as if that the end goal of education itself is to produce this slip of paper and to have good grades written all over them. In the process of it, it just really prevents me from seeing the larger purpose. And many times I wonder to myself, in the midst of slogging through numerous exercises and numerous worksheets and things, as to why I am doing all this in the first place. PPT has challenged me to look beyond grades and to look beyond and to see a larger purpose behind why why I want to educate myself, why I want to learn these things. In my first in 51, when we're talking about Marcus Aurelius, our instructor challenged our class to look at our grades and just to reduce our grades to simply just like marks on a paper in the same way that Marcus Aurelius himself reduced sex and reduced these things to seemingly insignificant things. And this really challenged me to see beyond grades as the final purpose of education, and to see that PPT itself is trying to inculcate in us the importance of thinking, and to inculcate in us that ability to think. And that's why our recent reading of Hannah Arendt really hit home with me, where Arendt talks about the importance of thinking as a way of staving off evil, as the importance of being in a state of paralysis, of how this paralysis prevents us from going along with the unthinking obedience that allows evil to happen. I really realized and come to value the importance of thinking through PPT. It has made me aware of the fact that philosophy is more than just a struggle, just another struggle to get good grades, but more than that, it's about looking to the past and seeing how we're able to conceive of all these big ideas, and how we're able to interpret and interrogate the world, and in so doing come up with better ways to live and better ways to look at ourselves. So for example, Descartes looking at analyzing the fundamentals of human nature, and Santideva's view from the fact that there is no self. And from this, I really see that PPT is something that is meaningful and something that's relevant to me.
So I just want to share with you guys how PPT has shaped and influenced my thoughts and thinking over the years. So the first thing I want to share with everyone is the Bible on Kindle, because modernity, technology, and religion. So growing up, I saw Christianity as this infallible truth for my life, where I base how I see the world, how I perceive, and how my own sense of morality is pretty much derived from the Bible. I pretty much believe it to be the Word of God. But even as I explored PPT in the past sem, there's been so many different philosophers that have showed me how to view religion. So as I read Nietzsche's genealogy of morals, he was articulating this new demand for us to revalue, to evaluate what our current values are, and to really just know what do the very notion of good and bad actually mean. And then I read Ibn Tufayl, where we learn about how you can have a journey of a divine encounter just purely without the organized social experience of religion, and you can be removed from these social circumstances and still find God. Or even in Descartes' meditations, he in reducing himself to essentially nothing, to a thinking thing, and how eventually from 1 to 6 he can eventually still find a God. With all of these thoughts and like ideas came into my mind, I began to really doubt my faith, began to really reevaluate of what my faith meant to me. As a result of that, as I read the Bible, even now as I navigate through the world as a Christian, I take it so much more important for myself to read even the word of God in my life, right? With a spirit of inquisition, to not just take things at face values, but really understand what the words mean and reevaluate on what these words means to me in my life. And the second thing that I wanted to show you guys is this, right? As I was growing up, I was a fat kid when I was in primary school. So growing up, for me to be the ultimate ideal of a man is to be muscular, to be smart, and I really prided myself in growing myself physically and mentally. So as I read, once again, Friedrich Nietzsche's Das Book, Zarathustra, I hope I'm not butchering the name, Das Book, Zarathustra, I began to realize the other aspect of what it means to be a man. I realized that there's also this moral development that I needed to make. He says the higher we soar, the smaller we appear to those who cannot fly. And to me, I think that struck with me, caught me, and made me realize that I cannot be a man to live my life to impress other people. That if I really want to fly, I need to live past the opinions of other people who might see me as small, and just be caught up with like what I want to do and not allow other people to confine my growth.
So I would say to my 29 years old me, First of all, I hope that social media and technology and modernity didn't brainwash you to stop thinking collectively and like just let yourself be drawn away by tendencies, by trends, sorry, and like tendencies well, and think individually, just not like everyone else. Oh, I hope you master your passions and like your mind, as Gandhi would suggest, to cultivate your morals and just to become a better person by increasing your morality. I hope you never have to follow rules that like blindly follow rules just for the sake of following them, and just stop to think about them and just try to use your cultivated morality to understand what you're doing, and so that you don't make any like violent like decisions. And lastly, I want to tell you that the 19-year-old you is really interested in philosophy, and that she would like to continue reading like different philosophy throughout her life, and I hope you accomplish that wish.
What would I say to 10 years down, 10 years later of me? So one thing that really struck me during PPD1 was this quote by Aristotle about the more I know, the more I realize how much I do not know. To the future Keith, you better be more like ripped, you better be more like muscular, but at the same time you better be more aware of your surroundings, be more thirsty for knowledge, and do not stay complacent, do not become complacent. The readings that you have read throughout this past year, be it in the PPT to the Hum to SI, and even like CSI, right? Like don't take that as just a phase, but take that as a beginning of a journey of increasing knowledge, and to be more than a student, but do more than that. And I just can't wait to see you in 10 years' time.
So I have no clue where I'll be in 10 years from now. I don't really know what I want to do yet, and my life thus far has been pretty unpredictable, and I think that will continue to hold true. So I guess the best advice that I can give myself comes up when thinking about what we talked about with Zhuangzi, especially the Butcher Ding passage about taking the path of least resistance. And in my life, I think that means opening myself up to any and all opportunities, and not really pushing myself to force things to be one way or another. In the past, when I've tried to do that, it's generally been unsuccessful, and I think the best moments for me have come out of those moments where I've simply gone with the flow and let life happen as it will. I hope that in 10 years I'll continue to do so, because I think it'll bring a lot of good for me, and that's probably the best advice that I can give myself.
And looking forward, in the next 10 years, it's my hope that I would be able to continue thinking, really, because it's easy to get swept up away, and I see myself the potential of being like Eichmann, of being so trapped in these systems that I know so well, to the point that I don't think, to the point that that I have this unthinking obedience to the system. So it's my hope to myself in 10 years' time that you keep on thinking, that you keep on exploring, and yeah.
Awake. How'd you say that? Awaken?
Do not.
To the right. No, wait. Your left. No, a little bit more to the right.
You want to say something to our PPT group?
What's BB?
PPT, philosophy.
Oh, PPT. PPT is great.